Welcome back, Christian students at UC, to another Bible study. Today we wanted to cover a continuation of really this world situation and what our response should be in the midst of all of this. I think everyone recognizes, even people are talking about it online, that this is one of the craziest years that we've ever had. Obviously the global pandemic is going on, still going on. The social unrest that's happening all over the world, countries rioting, protesting. The political situation in the United States is a match, just waiting to be struck. And actually all of this is having a significant impact on man. And we see that in the midst of this, God is doing something. This pandemic forcing people to stay at home, be isolated, be independent, can't connect with the people they normally would. This is causing a lot of consideration, a lot of thought. Why am I here? What's the purpose of my life? The global situation with unrest, what is right, what is wrong, who is the right one that should be in the position of power? All of these things, it just really causes you to wonder, what is going on? Why is this year so crazy? What is happening? And actually, in the midst of this, man is being opened. These questions, these doubtings, these thoughts that you think about laying in bed at night, this is the seeking within man to know something, to know the meaning of their life. Actually, this is the perfect time for the gospel to go out. God desires that all men would be saved, and He uses all situations to open man, to cause man to be softened, to cause man to consider, why am I here on the earth? What is the meaning of my human life? And so, in the midst of this crazy situation, you, as a Christian, you actually have the answer. You are in the right time to speak the gospel because you know the meaning of your human life. You know that we're not just here wondering, why am I here? What should I be doing with my life? You're here knowing I'm here because God is planning and God is arranging in order for Him to gain what He's after. And so this time is the perfect time to preach the gospel. This is also the perfect position for you as a student. You're a freshman or a junior or a sophomore at college. And college is one of the most incredible places for the gospel to go out because it's a gathering together of students from all over the world, young people who are learning to try to figure out what they're going to be doing for the rest of their life. And so this is the perfect environment for the gospel. You're in classes, you're hanging out on campus, you're meeting up with friends, and you're considering, okay, I want to study this, but why? I want to do this with my life, but why? I want to get a good job, raise up a family, all of these things, you're planning ahead, and so then you begin to consider, what should I do? Is there something more to this than simply following in this path that seems to be set for me? And there is something more. God is real, and God desires that He would have a relationship with you. And so not only is this time the perfect time for you to preach the gospel, you're also in the perfect position. You're on a campus, you're in classes, you have friends, you have family. And so all of these things are happening to really create the perfect situation for you to speak the gospel to your friends. And look at the unrest. Look at this world situation. Who is at the source, at the front of what is happening? It's young people. It's people your age. They're not satisfied. They're looking at their rulers, their politicians, the ones who are in power, and they say, they want something else. They're looking for reality. They're looking to change the situation. And you are in that age group. You're in the position to speak to them what is real. You're the ones who can turn to them and say, you might be looking to fix what's happening, to solve all of these problems, to find reality, but I have found reality. I know who is real. Jesus is real. And so you're on a campus. You're the same age group. You're in the perfect position to speak the gospel to your friends. In Acts chapter 8, verse 1, under this persecution, all of these ones were forced to flee. But the verse ends with, except the apostles. Why does the Bible say except the apostles? We might think that this is confirming that they are the strong ones, the ones who are able to endure the persecution, the ones who, despite all of the things going on, they remained. They knew what they were doing. And we might look up to the apostles in this particular situation because of that. But actually we see in verse 4 of chapter 8, we see that the ones who fled, they were the ones who propagated the gospel, who the gospel went out through them to Judea, to Samaria. And so, you might not think that you're an apostle. You might think that the gospel is actually for others. yes, I'm in the right position, the right time, but I'm not an apostle. I'm not the right one to speak the gospel. But as we see in this verse in Acts, you are the right person. You might not be an apostle. You might not be able to withstand persecution or remain in the midst of this type of a situation. But you, even if you're fleeing, even if you're scared and you run away, the Lord used that for the gospel to go out. And so I just wanted to encourage you that you are the right person, despite maybe how you feel. And actually in the Bible, it says that you did not choose him, but he chose you. And he set you to go forth and to bear fruit. So regardless of whether you feel that, I'm not an apostle, I can't go speak the gospel, the Lord chose you. Regardless of what you might think you're able to do, the Lord chose you. And he set you to go and bear fruit. So in my experience, when I was in college, I was a gospel chicken. I did not like preaching the gospel. I was afraid that my friends were going to ask questions I didn't know the answer to, that they were going to not be my friends anymore, that they wouldn't listen to me because my living didn't match what I was speaking, that I was a sinner, that I just couldn't do it, that I wasn't the right person. But in the Bible, there are some cases that show us that even the wrong people, even the wrong thing to say can work out to salvation. So in the Gospel of John, in chapter 4, there was a woman who was a sinner, got saved, and then immediately went to her own city and began to speak the gospel. She didn't go to somewhere else where they didn't know her, but she went to the people that she knew, and she spoke, "Come see a man," spoke the gospel to them. And at the end of this chapter, in verse 42, it says that these ones believed no longer because of her speaking, but they saw the Lord and they believed that he was the Christ. And so initially they believed because of her speaking, even though she was a sinner. And so you maybe are a sinner. I mean, I'm a sinner and I felt like I couldn't go because of that. But if we speak the Christ, if we say, "Come see a man," they will believe, because now is the perfect time for you to speak the gospel to your friends. So another case, in John 1, there was Nathanael speaking the gospel to Philip, and he said the wrong thing. He wasn't correct in how he preached the gospel, but Philip still believed. He still got saved. And so you might feel that you're not the right person, that you're not an apostle. You don't know the truth. You don't know the right answer to their question. You're a sinner. And we're in this together. We would like to join in with you with this desire to preach the gospel. So that's why in 2 weeks, we're going to have a time on Friday night, a short 30-minute Zoom session to preach the gospel, to speak Jesus to all of these ones that you've been considering, the ones that are on your heart that you'd like to preach the gospel to. And so this really requires you to pray, to consider, what about that classmate? What about that friend, that relative, that brother, that uncle, that one that the Lord has been moving in you? What about speaking the gospel to them? And you feel, but now's the not right time. I don't know how. I just want to encourage you. Just tell them to come see a man, to come to this short session Friday night in 2 weeks. And they could hear about Jesus. They could hear about the one who is reality. In the midst of all that's happening, in the midst of this crazy situation, they're considering, why am I here? What's the purpose of my life? You could bring them and they could come and see who is reality. Jesus. He's the only one who can save. And so I just wanted to encourage you, now is the time. You are the right person. You're in the right position. All things are being arranged for the gospel to go out. Actually, this is why the Lord is arranging things, so that you could speak the gospel. Just as in Acts, the gospel went out because of this persecution, and the gospel went out. The churches were raised in Judea and Samaria. And so here we are today. You're a student on a campus. A pandemic is happening. The political situation, right? All of these things. You might think, what is going on? But we saw, this is for the gospel. This is so that you could speak to your friends. This is so that all men could be saved. You have been chosen and set to go forth and to bear fruit. And we're here with you. We're joining in with this burden. And so you can bring them to this time, invite them, begin to pray, consider who, when, how, all of these things the Lord desires. So we just wanted to encourage you. The Lord is trying to gain all men, and this is another opportunity for you.